Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of The Walking Dead. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, we have the whole situation with the group from Alexandria showing up, check things out at Hilltop, but also because Mary wants to, see her nephew Adam. Obviously, Earl's kind of a big opponent of no. Well, because to be fair, it's what happened to his wife and everything, he's already lost so much. He lost a child. He also lost his wife. Because of the Whisperers. But at the same time, it's they abandoned the child and everything. To be fair, that wasn't 100% on the mother's choice, but that's because everyone's kind of conditioned to follow Alpha and whatever she says. So it's a thing of sadly, Mary's sister went along with it, and so did Mary. And it's it's that situation of now realizing things aren't what Alpha had told us what things are, but sadly at the same time we have Lydia showing up with Daryl, and basically because obviously you had Kelly and Yumiko wanting to go out to look for Magna and Colette. But Connie, I said Colette, Connie. And obviously you even have Luke being worried about this whole situation. But it's a thing of they don't really have time to do that because the Horde is on its way. And the fact is, Lydia's warning, the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter how many you take out because obviously her mom's going to have even more. So it's it looks like a very dire situation of we need to kind of get out of here. But it's obviously Earl is no, we stand and fight. This is a place, this place was supposed to be kind of the start, what they've built here, what they're continuing to build here. It's supposed to be a future for, a lot, even those kids. So they're fighting for a future like that. And they're not trying to have that taken away by someone like Alpha. But at the same time, Aaron brings up the point of the fact of the matter is, because, Earl's oh, if we going down swinging, what more, better way to die than that? And for Aaron, it's actually living, it's because for my kid, for your own kid, for all the kids here, living for their sake, so, and obviously it turns into a thing of well, we kind of have to leave. At the same time, Alpha, has got, she's got the whole situation with Negan, hitting her arm with a switch, because it's her way to kind of cleanse herself of because last episode she kind of cleared, it's this whole Lydia thing, it's because of that heartache and everything, she's grown stronger of it, that Lydia is no longer hers, that Lydia has no plans of returning to her or to the Whisperers, so she's kind of purifying herself of that by having Negan hit her with the switch on her arm to kind of remind her, to kind of punish herself, to kind of purge those thoughts. And obviously she returns it in kind to Negan. I love him being kind of oh, it's you can tell he's a little hesitant, but it's oh, I even love the fact that she sees through him, because it's oh, you joke to basically hide your fear. But basically it's oh, is this going to bond us together? And she's we'll see. And she hits his arm once, he's ooh, and it's just okay. And then lo and behold, what do we see? He's kicking out with the Whispers, finally leveled up, as he said, and he's wearing, a skin, mask. And obviously he's trying to tell Alpha oh, we can approach this situation a little differently. Rather than killing him, because I get it, you're coming at this from a very emotional place, you're pissed and everything, but the best outcome to be is so overwhelm them, give them a choice, and basically make them surrender, make them bend down to you, which, to be fair, is Negan's go-to, thing. That was his whole shtick about making people bend and worship him and everything. So he was kind of applying that to Alpha. So as the Horde's approaching and stuff like that, it's okay, so what's this going to be? Obviously they try to, pack up all the kids and get them out, but unfortunately all the paths were blocked, and because of that, they immediately, Daryl immediately goes Negan's got to be working. I guess it's because those pathways are such secret pathways, the only people that would know about that would be someone, would be Negan, who's or maybe it's just blocking all those pathways is Negan's strategy. Maybe I can't remember, maybe that's something he did when he was leading the Saviors and stuff like that, so maybe that's kind of a byproduct of that too. So, but whatever it was, Daryl immediately goes, Negan is the one responsible. They were trying to, at the very least, get the kids out of there, then potentially get everyone else out of there, but the problem is they're blocked off on every path, and obviously it's because even Kelly's freaking out. Literally, not just Kelly, everyone's freaking out, because even Luke's maybe we can get, Alexandria's help, but it's no, Alexandria is literally still reeling from last week's episode with, Beta's attack. They're still dealing with that. Plus, they wouldn't make it in time. Same thing for Oceanside. So Hilltop is literally on their own when it comes to this whole situation. I didn't even talk about it, but the fact is that Ezekiel tracked down Carol because she was waiting at the campsite where that used to be Daryl's, because I guess maybe on some shape or form she was kind of hoping, well, maybe he'll return here, or maybe it's just kind of like she wanted to be somewhere familiar while away from everyone because she's punishing herself, for the mistake that she made. But Ezekiel wouldn't leave her alone, so they end up kind of returning together. So it's like, all right, so what choice do we have? Everyone's kind of getting locked and loaded and getting prepared for the fight and everything. And I think because literally everyone is scared that this might be their last night because the odds are so against them. The fact of the matter is everyone's kind of clearing up any grievances that they have. Ezekiel and Carol have their moment. It's like he shows her, she ends up seeing the thing, the cancer, and he's like, I'm okay. It's nothing to worry about. She's like, don't bullshit a bullshitter. And then they have their moment and stuff like that. For him, he's like, would this have happened if, we weren't potentially going to die tonight? And she's like, well, we're going to die. Like, because she had talked about the fact that she doesn't have her humor anymore. She's like, I left it behind in the kingdom when it fell. And obviously, for Ezekiel, he's like, I left my pride behind. But the fact of the matter is, it is kind of nice to see them back together again for this moment, because it is a thing of like, obviously they care very deeply for each other, but it's just like Carol just hasn't been the same since Henry. That situation, it broke her, and she's just essentially drowning in her grief and anger. She wants to kill Alpha. She wants to make her pay because like she's just drowning on all that, emotions. And so it's just kind of a nice moment of them both reconnecting, because obviously losing Henry, it broke both of them, So it was kind of nice in that regard. You have the whole situation with Rosita and Eugene, which Eugene's getting all close to Stephanie, setting up a meet and stuff like that. It's like, oh, I'll tell my people about it, but you don't tell your people. That's why I'm like, come on, Eugene. I'm like, this whole Stephanie thing, I'm scared for you, bro. Because I'm like, you found someone you like and stuff like that, sure, but at the same time, it's like, come on, her telling you, oh, I'm gonna talk to my people about it. My people gonna know about you, but you're not gonna know about your people can't know about me. That's why I'm like, I don't know. I'm a little nervous about that. I'm like, oh, dude, that's gonna suck. I'm like, I was like, because he also ends up telling her like, oh, they're in Virginia, because she saw the satellite crashing, and so that means they are within at least 100 or so miles, because that's what Eugene was saying, at least the visibility from the satellite crashing. So it's like if they saw it, they're at least within that radius, so they are close enough, and she wants to potentially meet up in them. I'm like, oh. And then later on, she kind of brings up is like, oh yeah, more about that satellite. That's why I'm like, she's pumping you for information, dude. Like, it just seems really clear. The thing is, Rosita hears it and she's like, oh, is that someone from Oceanside? Like, the thing is, she doesn't know that it's someone from a different group. If Rosita knew, notice that Eugene never corrected her on that situation of, oh, it's someone from Oceanside. Which Rosita's kind of like, oh, like, kind of being happy for him and everything, but he was upset because Stephanie made it clear that no one was supposed to know about their communication, and because of that, she kind of ghosted him for a while, and he was worried that, like, oh, it kind of was all gone, which Rosita kind of comes to him later on about the whole situation. Because for him, it's like, because, Eugene kind of has like low self-esteem, so he just kind of assumes like, oh, because she hasn't gotten in contact with me, it means that she's kind of done with me. The fact of the matter is, his own insecurities, he's kind of like applying it to the situation of almost, which I can understand, the whole thing of being like, oh yeah, like she was going to leave me anyway, like I already had these fears about it, they just happened to come true. It's one of those things of like, you kind of put that negative energy out there, it kind of manifests itself. I mean, if you kind of believe in that, but I guess someone who, who's very Eugene-like, in a sense that I'm kind of very like insecure and stuff like that, and self-conscious, like I just kind of understood where he was coming from with that. But Rosita hasn't told Gabriel about what's going on, because for her it's like, he'll worry about it. It's like nothing Alexandria can do. She just wants to know that Coco was okay, especially considering Beta was so close. But at the same time, it's a situation of like, Eugene being like, oh, there's a good chance we won't, but she's like, no, shut up, don't kind of bring that negativity here, we're gonna make it through this. And then she's like, all right, obviously you like this girl, all right, so you want to kiss me? And he was almost like, what? And she's like, go ahead, no, like you better take this opportunity while you have the chance. And he's kind of leaning, I'm like, is he actually going to do it? And then Rosita's smiling the entire time. I'm like, he's not going to do it, and he doesn't. And that's what she was waiting for, to show like, no, you're really into her. The fact that because that's, Eugene's had a thing for Rosita for a very, very long time, since the beginning. So this is kind of what he's always wanted. He wanted something between them, but now it's like, no. But and Rosita's like, see, you really like her, so stop like beating around the bush and stuff like that. Basically, go get that girl. And the fact of the matter is, you have him singing a song to her, and she kind of sings the other side to it, and she apologizes. It's like, oh, who was that other woman? It's like, oh, Rosita. It's like, oh, you sound like you really care about her. He's like, yeah, she's my quintessential BFF. And I was like, oh, that's so adorable. And he's like, the fact of the matter is, I'd love for you to meet her one day. And she's like, I like that too. So it's like, but she sets up a meeting, and like a week from now, go to this spot. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna be there. He doesn't want to tell her about what's happening either. And Rosita's like, you ready? He's like, yeah, let's go do this. I got a date, So it's nice on that front too. Obviously, Mary tried to see her nephew, but obviously Earl was kind of against it, and obviously Earl was kind of like, no, because for him it's like Earl was more has been a greater father to me than he has been than my own dad. And so for him, like, he wants to respect Earl's wishes, especially because it's like looking after what he's done on his own, taking care of Adam. And obviously it's like, you think like I'm doing this just because I'm angry and stuff about Mary and stuff like that. It's like, no, I'm doing this for Adam, for their future. This is everything we do is for them. Everything I do is for them to kind of ensure them having a better future. So it's that thing of like, because Mary wanted to at least see her nephew one last time, because considering this might be the day that they died, So then there's like Lydia and Carol having their moment. Carol, smoking, and it's the whole situation of like, because obviously Lydia's sitting beside like a thing where it's like her and Henry, like it's a heart with H and L carved in it. And, it's a situation where they're both obviously still both grieving, where it's just kind of like, Carol is saying that the fact of the matter is, I'm going to kill your mom. It's like, it's not going to stop everything. She's like, yeah, but it'll make me feel good. Are you, because she was like, it's okay if you, like, she was trying to understand why Lydia doesn't hate her, because Lydia is like, Lydia understands what she went through, so she's not going to hate her for that, And the fact of the matter is, it's like, if I kill your mom, will you hate me? And Lydia's like, I won't be thinking about that. And she's like, well, at least thanks for your honesty, because Lydia, despite everything, that's still her mom. Because she brought it up to Daryl. Daryl was like, did you kill her? He's like, would you kill if it was your dad, would you have killed him? So it's a thing of like, the thing she's kind of insinuating is like, she would be thinking about the fact is like, mourning the fact is her mom's dead, despite what she's become, what she is, that's still her mom regardless. It's just a complicated thing in that regard. And so, they had that whole conversation because Lydia was like, so many people don't ever really speak the truth. It's like, I'm sorry that your son died, that your kid died. I'm sorry that your mom's a monster. And it's just a situation of like, they say all that, but at the end of the day, they end up leaving you all alone with all of that, So it's just, it is a situation that they're just, they try to keep up a strong front, but obviously it's just, the whole thing is still fresh and it's still there for them. I did think it was neat that Ezekiel gives Henry's armor to Lydia. It's only, only fair. And I was like, I like that, When it was all said and done, though, like, Ezekiel and Daryl have a talk. I even love Daryl being like, basically, we don't really, never really talk too much. But the fact of the matter is, you are, he's like, I'm sorry about the cancer situation, but he's like, you are one of the strongest people I know. Like, the fact of the matter is, and there's so many people who are here that are grateful because you are that person. And so he was basically saying, when it's all said and, because it's like, basically, Daryl kind of giving him mad props about being who he is. And the fact of the matter is, like, when it's all said and done, it's like, if one of us goes down, the other one gets the kids out of their deal, and they both kind of shake on it and agree. And, Judith is nearby, and her and Daryl talk, because, she's like, I'm not afraid, I can fight. He's like, I know, but the fact is, I just want to look after you. She's like, I'm not afraid. And he's like, yeah, it's a good thing you're not. He's like, but for me, I might be a little afraid. And then Judith's like, well, I might be, a little worried for, RJ, something happened to him or to my mom or to you or Aunt Carol. And it's a situation, and he's like, and that's okay, that's a good thing, because it reminds you what you're fighting for. And she ended up giving him a little made an advanced, like, did a design on his vest, the whole like Because he naturally has that on his original vest anyway, like the whole white, like black and white, the devil and an angel type of wing situation. But now it's like one's black and one's like blue and stuff like that. He's like, I like it. And she made it specifically for him. But it's like, if you see Ezekiel, no matter where I am during all of this, make sure you run with him. And, Judith's like, okay, And the question is, will she when it's all said and done? Because obviously for Daryl, it's like he's looking after Judith because he cares about her, but also it's like because of your mom, because of your dad, both your moms, the mom that you never really had, sadly never got a chance to meet, but also for Rick, for Michonne, he's going to look after her. So like they're safe, the kids' safety, because obviously the kids are the future, Hell, when it was even said and done, you had, Kelly and Yumiko apologize because, like I said, everyone's worried that we kind of got to have everything be at peace, considering like this battle we're going into, like things don't look good, but they're setting things up. They see the rats coming, and that's like that means they're running from the horde, so it's locked and loaded. And I love that moment of Daryl just walking out, like the entire hilltop is empty. He picks up a weapon, opens up the door. The entire group is there, like ready, locked, and loaded. I'm just like, that looks so badass. And just like the slowdown while he's walking to the front too. And it's like, dude, they're getting prepared. The fact that matters, the horde makes their way there. And we get quite into the action too, where it's like they're holding off the horde. Everyone's kind of shielded up. They split up in two groups. Everyone's kind of holding the horde back while they're kind of trapped on like the debris and everything that's kind of blocking the path. So like killing the army one at a time, stabbing, doing all they can. Some walker smashing with like blunt objects and stuff like that. So, but you can already tell like it was kind of wearing people out already because there was just so many. But the barrier wasn't going to last forever. But then they start throwing what appears to be honey at first, because we saw that, or it wasn't honey, it was sap. They were gathering at the beginning of the episode, and you're like, what the hell is that about? But it turns out they start dripping it over everyone, and I'm like, what the hell? It was like, why the hell would you do that? I was like, are you making bombs or something? I was like, no, why would you? I expected it to halfway explode, but it's just, I'm like, they essentially made gasoline, and then like they start lighting up. Like first it seemed like there might have been like a Molotov or something thrown, but then like eventually like arrows come flying, and it's like, okay. So, and even Negan is like, I thought you were going to take them, bring them into the fold, and she's like, oh, I am, as part of the horde. And he's like, ooh, look at you are seriously a badass. So now even Negan's helping fire the arrows. So everyone's got to fall back. But because of the gasoline and everything, their pathway towards Hilltop is blocked off, which all the kids are trapped on the other side. Because everyone else is like on the forefront and the front, all the fighters are, so all the kids are still inside with whoever, left looking after them. So it's like, but granted, they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because the horde is coming, arrows are flying down, and so they're still covered in gasoline so the fire can spread, but also they're just in general trapped with the horde right behind them. So it's like, what do we do? This is severely one-sided fight. Dude, it's going to be crazy to see, can they make it out of this situation next episode, because things look extremely dire. We'll ultimately have to wait to see where it all takes us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good